Welcome back, everybody. The History Guy here. I want to make sure I don't neglect my other series, even while the popularity of the Ultimate Admiral games continues to be very strong on this channel. We're going to get back to the No Infantry Campaign Challenge here on Ultimate General Civil War. For those of you not familiar with this, who may be new to the channel, since I've played through both Confederate and Union on the Legendary mode, which is the hardest difficulty, I wanted a unique challenge. And so we came up with this idea of doing a campaign where I would use no main line infantry brigades, only skirmishers, artillery, and mounted units. Now I am using the J&P rebalance mod. It's not the most recent version of that mod, but it was the most recent version when I started playing this campaign many months ago. So we're into the Battle of Chancellorsville now, 1863. And we'll see what we're up against. Much like the historic Confederate Army, I am facing about a 2-to-1 margin. This was considered by many people to be Lee's finest moment. It was the moment in which he divided his army not once but twice in the face of a vastly superior enemy. First, he left behind some units at Fredericksburg, and then he marched the majority of his army to the Chancellorsville area to face Joseph Hooker's massive Union army. And then in the face of that Union army, he divided his force yet again and sent Stonewall Jackson on this brilliant flanking march that took most of the day around the right side of the Union army and hit the forces under Oliver Howard, the 11th Corps that was kind of sticking out on the right flank. And so we largely will be doing that, except we will have General History Guy holding the main line while Robert E. Lee, commanding our 2nd Corps, goes around. Now, I've got a full 30 brigades here in the center, and I've put all 18 of my artillery units in that center because I don't want to slow down this flanking force with artillery. So all of my mounted units are in the flanking force, and then what's left of my foot soldiers are there. So we're going to see how this goes. I've got 39,000 men, 202 guns, facing nearly 80,000 men and 205 guns. We're going to use our artillery to try and silence his artillery as best we can. And I'm going to hope that the lack of foot soldiers in this center and this 1st Corps does not become a major problem for me. Of course, this was also the moment of one of the Confederacy's greatest defeats. Right at the moment of their greatest triumph, they lose Stonewall Jackson, wounded by his own men. When they made that flanking maneuver, they were pushing the enemy. They had routed the Federals. And Jackson went out that night in the rain, I think along with, I want to say A.P. Hill was with him, maybe Jeb Stuart. I'm trying to remember who all was with him. But to scout out the enemy position to see if they could make a rare night attack. And it was then that some Confederate soldiers, hearing the horses in the dark, seeing the silhouettes, thought it was an enemy cavalry, and they opened fire, and Jackson was hit twice. The wounds, he actually survived. He had to have his arm amputated. But pneumonia set in, and he died as the result of that. It may have been... Stonewall Jackson was well known to be kind of a hypochondriac. He had some really weird personality quirks. Things like sucking on lemons, raising his one arm above his head while he was on a horse because he thought that it allowed his... body to be more balanced. He didn't have chairs in his house because he didn't like how his organs sat on top of each other when he was in a chair. Just little weird things like that, but brilliant officer. Nobody can question that. But it wasn't without, his detractors and without his mistakes. Early on in the war, a lot of his men called him Granny Jackson, or what was it? Tom Fool was the one that most people called him. He wasn't real popular as a professor at the Virginia Military Institute. Sorry, I had to sneeze there. But he established himself pretty quickly as a great commander. Now he had some bad moments too. Right after his brilliant Valley campaign, where he kind of marched around and defeated multiple Union armies in the span of a few short weeks, he came back and joined what eventually became Robert E. Lee's army around Richmond during the 7 Days campaign, and didn't do particularly well during the 7 Days fight. Made some mistakes, had some low moments there, but obviously is remembered much less for that and much more for his great moments, like at Chancellorsville. So this is kind of the same general area as the Wilderness Battle was fought in 1864, about a year later. In fact, when the armies marched through this area during the Wilderness and Spotsylvania campaign, spring rains had washed away a lot of the shallow graves, and a lot of the bodies of their fallen comrades were exposed. You can imagine what that must have felt like, especially for the new troops, the ones who hadn't been in combat yet, to see that. So we got to be careful here. I don't have a lot of men on the ground yet. So we're going to bring up the artillery. Here we've got the Anzac Diggers. I think these are my 20-pounder Parrots. We've got O'Hare's Ohio Outlaws, which is my most powerful smoothbore unit. And we're going to wait for reinforcements before we push this. We've got a lot of reinforcements on the way. And I'm definitely not in a position to do much just yet, although we can definitely come up here with skirmishers. So it's cool. You can see with the skirmishers, they give me such an ability to see far away. I can see all the way down here to the Union's main line of defense. I can see his artillery down there. So we're going to sit tight with these skirmishers who have already got over 200 kills. They're just picking away at Ayres. And there they've driven him back. I don't know where the enemy is here. We're going to try to get up here and scout him out. So let's come up into the clearing now. Gotta be careful. He may have some guys over in here. I know there were some units this way, and I can't get a glimpse of them. This is all still dark to me here, which is kind of weird. Here we go. Now we're getting a glimpse. So now my 2 units of sharpshooters here can open up. I'm not going to get as many hits because they're in the woods, but now my artillery's there as well. Get these siege guns going. Here come reinforcements. Okay, now we can see a lot of artillery right there. Oh. Alright, let's get over here. Start firing into these guys. We'll let this artillery sit tight. We'll have to move up the Ohio Outlaws because they're not even in range yet. Here we go. Now we get a bunch of skirmisher units that we can put on the line, along with some additional sharpshooters. And now we start getting our artillery, which we're going to send up this way. I believe we get Lee's 2nd Corps at the end of this fight before we go into phase 2, which is the flanking assault. So they show up here first. There we go. That should be a good spot for O'Hare. So we're going to go ahead and push up into these woods now. I'll move these 2 artillery units, but the 4-inch guns, they're not quite in range. This is why I wasn't too worried about being outnumbered 2-1, because every one of my units, as they level up, as they get those first and then second stars, I've been putting all of my perks into accuracy and reloading and things like that. So not only do I have superior weapons, but I have superior accuracy. So I can take on units and inflict 3 and 4-1 casualties easily. Even more than that in this case, where I haven't even taken a casualty yet because I've got the range and the accuracy that they don't have. The only thing I have to be careful of course, is when he has a large force and he can assault me. So I've got to worry about melee combat, but that's really about it. I just need to make sure I move up slow enough that I'm not getting too close. I'm going to just make this more and more even as best we can. You can see right now I haven't lost a single man. I've inflicted over 2,000 casualties so far. That's going to have to continue as long as possible. It's going to take a while for the artillery to get up, and we want the artillery before we start getting in range of his. I want to get my rifled artillery up there and start picking off his artillery. If I can neutralize his artillery and have, you know, think of it like air superiority in World War II. Artillery is that for me. It's the great neutralizer of all things. If I first and foremost use my artillery to neutralize his artillery, then I can just use my artillery to my heart's content, and there's very little he can do about it at that point. So that's kind of my mindset with the artillery, is to use as much of my long range, my rifled guns, to just pick off his batteries. I use my smooth bores like the Ohio Outlaws here to protect my infantry. Unlike Ultimate Admiral Age of Sail, there's no friendly fire with the artillery that I've ever been able to see on this game. So you can park your artillery right behind your lines, and they'll pretty much just fire right through them, and it works just fine. All right, let's start moving up. Just a slow process with the artillery, but that's exactly why I put all the artillery in my first corps, because the artillery would be constantly lagging behind my flanking attack when it comes in front on my left. All right, let's move up a hair here. I'm going to put Sims over in this fortification. I'll put Davis right here in the middle. And bring Garnet up. I will start taking some casualties when I get in range of his artillery. I've already taken out 18 of his guns. Not sure how that is because I haven't seen any enemy artillery. Second course here, and see, here's where he's going to do what I expected he might do, which is to use his numbers to charge in. But I'm not too worried about that. I think 95th Rifles can handle it. Alright, we got to get O'Hare mounted and online here before they break through and start hitting O'Hare's, hitting his line. Alright, we're good. Okay, still waiting on the other artillery. This is the second corps here, which is going to be making the flanking attack, so I'm honestly not really even going to use them, because the majority of my time here is going to be spent just bringing up the rest of the units. All of this is just setting myself up for the main assault, which is going to happen when we have them all bottled up up here, and we're making the flanking attack. That's when the magic's going to happen with this. Okay, let's send Leonard out here just so I can get a glimpse of what's going on out here. I don't want to get any surprises. There, we took some casualties. 95th Rifles took a few. Not a big deal. He's coming back, which is great news because that means I can use my artillery on him. Now we're fairly even. And actually now we have an advantage because my entire army's on the field, but he's going to start getting his reinforcements. So we're not going to push. Let's get the Anzac diggers up. Most of my artillery is still too far behind. That's the rest of my 2nd Corps. Okay, so I've lost 15 men. Just the 95th Rifles. So let's get these sharpshooters out here. I want to push Lauman out that way just because I want to see what's going on over there. And we're going to get the artillery up and in range to start picking off some of his. I've got 14-pounder James here. I don't know what their range is exactly. Same with the 10-pounder Blakely's. These Parrots I know will be able to reach his artillery. Anzac diggers can definitely reach the artillery if we can get them up to about right here. Which is exactly what we're going to do. We've only got a half hour left on this phase. Alright, Anzac, let's get you moved up. Lots of 10-pounder Parrots here. These are going to be my main force for... Did I say 12-pounder Parrots? That's 10-pounders. I don't know why it says 12. My main force for eliminating his artillery right there. Okay, let's see where the 14-pounders are as far as range goes. Looks like they're just in range to start hitting Pettit. These Blakely's don't have quite the range. The Parrots will. 24-pounders won't. I want to send these skirmishers over that way. How many guns does he have at the moment? He's got 82, but he'll be getting more right at the end of this. They should be in range now. Not quite, darn it. Alright, let's move them up some more. Okay, now the fun begins. As soon as we get our artillery online. Anzac Diggers. Okay, go to town, baby. Once his artillery's gone, any serious threat for me losing this battle should go with it. Now he's going to get more artillery than what he's currently got. Quite a bit more. I think he had over 200 guns total. So only half his artillery has even been on the field so far. Like I said, not even going to use the 2nd Corps. We're going to save them for the flanking assault. One of my frustrating things about this game that I've always hated is that when you go to another phase, like another day of the battle, all the units reset. So no matter where I've got my army set, it's going to be completely different when we get to the next day. Which means I'll have to kind of reset everybody again. Okay, his artillery's firing back now. In fact, 10-pounder parrots were taking casualties and not inflicting any. We are winning. Yeah, he'll get reinforcements here in 2 hours. We could probably push this and get him out of there now, but I don't want to. I'm pretty content to do what I'm doing because I know that I'm going to have a strong position. Oh, he's pulling back. I know I'm in good shape if I just kind of methodically do this and just wipe out his artillery. Let's get these 10-pounders moved up. I don't want to get too close here and allow him canister fire on me. Oh, let's be careful here. Oh, Rourke, what were you thinking, dude? Charging in all by yourself like that? Colonel A.P. Hill was wounded. A lot of people don't realize this, but when Stonewall Jackson was wounded here at the Battle of Chancellorsville, it was actually Jeb Stuart who took command of his infantry corps. Folks think of Jeb Stuart with cavalry, but he did command the majority of the Army of Northern Virginia for at least a time during this battle. Careful here, we've lost 16 men. These are small units. No, I want you to hit the battery. There you go. Oh, we got to bring up these siege guns. Those are some of my best weapons. All right, casualties. We've inflicted 5,600 or more. We've taken out half of his artillery. That's the main thing. I've lost 7 guns. Mostly in this battery here, which is only a 1-star. Yeah, I've lost 6 of those 10-pounder Parrots. And I lost 1 of these 10-pounders. These skirmisher units, these 1,000-man skirmisher units, are the closest thing I have to cannon fodder. I mostly use those to absorb casualties while I get... You know, if you think... I've been using a lot of analogies here, I know, but if you think of this like a role-playing game, for those of you who play those, you have your tanks, which are there to absorb the enemy's blows. That is my... these are my tank units, these 1,000-man skirmisher units. And then you have my damage per second folks, who are the ones who inflict most of the damage on the enemy, which is everything else, basically. Keep an eye on the flanks here. Now let's start getting artillery up again. Again, I've got all this second corps back here, but I'm saving them just because I don't really have the need for them up front anyhow. Sems is firing on units I can't even see. We're going to keep these 10-pounder Parrots back. They've already lost half their strength. See how we're doing on supply. Pretty good, actually. I think I've got 2 supply units. Not entirely sure where they are. Here's one here, and there's the other one too. Oh, I've got these guns out in front and exposed. Not ideal. Same with Anzac diggers, especially Anzac diggers. Wasn't expecting one of his units to come up close like that. Who is Sems firing at, and why can't I see them? Alright, we're gonna have to get up here and see what's going on over on our left. push forward through this wheat field. See if we can get a glimpse of who's manning these fortifications. Here comes Howard's 11th Corps. And Sickles. Could be the 3rd Corps. I still have no idea. There, now we can finally see Brooke. Oh, we saw him briefly. Alright, he's advancing down on me. I gotta be careful here. This is where my artillery can really have some fun if he gets close. Hooker arrived to observe the battlefield. Good for Hooker. Just gotta be careful here. Need ammo. Let's get the supplies over. I thought I moved another unit up here to guard for Wilcox. Yeah, he's got a lot of men on the line now. Okay, he's bringing in his mounted infantry to try and hit me. I don't have as much as artillery on this side as I would like. You know what, let's slow down for a minute. I should have sent my melee cav up there to protect now that he's getting all his reinforcements. Most of his artillery is too far back. I can't really hit him. I want to pause for a second and get a glimpse of everything. So it looks like we've lost about 700 men, inflicted at least 15,000 casualties. He's got the majority of what's left of his artillery in position now, but a lot of it's out of range for me at the moment. We just got to survive, endure these next 34 minutes, and then we'll be in a good position once we open up the next day of the battle, the next phase. I guess it's really the same day. I'm gonna make this guy pay for his little attempted breakthrough here. Just got to be careful he doesn't get sucked in too far. Alright, let's pull out. Get out of there, Buckley. Alright, we got to pull the Anzac diggers back a little bit. I've got nothing to protect my artillery there. No, get him out, get him out. Let's slow down again. There's just too much here right now for me to be safe. Yikes. He broke right through into my line of artillery. Alright, 18 minutes to go, and then we start the next day of the battle. Get these guys dismounted and up here on his flank. Now our artillery can do its thing for a few minutes. We've already inflicted nearly 20,000 casualties on him at the expense of about 700 on my side. That dramatically changes the balance. And now we go to the next day. We'll go ahead and take a look at where things stand, but I think we'll probably stop right there. There's still a lot to be fought, but we'll save that for the next episode. We'll do that tomorrow. But let's go ahead and see what the numbers look like moving forward. So now we're still at about 2-1, but that's going to change because I'm going to go back to camp and get refit before we make this flanking attack. And then we'll see where things stand. He's got more guns, though. He definitely got reinforcements. All right, so here's what we're looking at. We are still right at the 2-1 margin, but now we're gonna get the flank attack going. We're gonna bottle him up on that side, and once we've got him in the open and I've got the better ground, I can use my artillery to just neutralize those 276 guns that he still has become next to nothing, and then it's really easy just to wipe him out. So as with all of these battles, it's all about moving the chess pieces, taking things slow so that in the end I can just pummel him. So hopefully that's what happens here as well, and then we move into the Gettysburg campaign. Drop a like, please subscribe. If you have a comment, I would love to hear it, and we will see you again tomorrow with the second half of the Battle of Chancellorsville. Thanks for watching.